राम सीता राम रामचंद्र पाहि मां राम कृष्ण गोविंद हरे पाहि मां राम कृष्ण गोविंद हरे पाहि मां। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Together we'll chant chapter 8, Bhagavad Gita, verses 20 to the end. परस्तस्मात्तु भावोऽन्यः अव्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यस्य सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति अव्यक्तोऽक्षर इत्युक्तः तमाहुः परमां गतिम् यं प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम पुरुषः स परः पार्थ भक्त्या लभ्यस्त्वनन्यया यस्यान्तस्थानि भूतानि येन सर्वमिदं ततम् यत्र काले त्वनावृत्तिम् आवृत्तिं चैव योगिनः प्रयाता यान्ति तं कालम् वक्ष्यामि भरतर्षभ अग्निर्ज्योतिरः शुक्लः षण्मासा उत्तरायणम् तत्र प्रयाता गच्छन्ति ब्रह्म ब्रह्मविदो जनाः धूमो रात्रिस्तथा कृष्णः षण्मासा दक्षिणायनम् तत्र चान्द्रमसं ज्योतिः योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते शुक्लकृष्णे गतिह्येते जगतः शाश्वते मते एकया यात्यनावृत्तिम् अन्यया वर्तते पुनः नैते श्रुति पार्थ जानन् योगी मुह्यति कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन वेदेषु यज्ञेषु तपस्सु चैव दानेषु यत् पुण्यफलं प्रदिष्टम्
त्येति तत्सर्वमिदं विदित्वा योगी परं स्थानमुपैति चाद्यम्.
Aditi, path of the sun, you at least progress. Explain more. What you mean with the path of the sun, you progress versus the path of the moon? Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. But we don't want that kind of progress. We want a progress which is steady, consistent, and quickly takes us to our goal. Just progress is good, but better is to do the progress in a steady manner. No? So steady manner will always be Kaivalya. So it always depends where is your point of comparison. Compared to the moon, sun is better. Compared to sun, Kaivalya is better. Ashia.
Thank you.
How to remove knots from the personality once they have been identified. Knots like oversensitivity on certain issues or certain circumstances, strong dislikes towards certain people. How to remove knots from the personality. We have to look upon our growth as a human being exactly the way a doctor would look at suppose you have got some kind of boils on your skin. So when you have boils on your skin, what will the doctor prescribe? He'll prescribe some kind of tonic or a blood purifier or something to clean you up from within, isn't it? Along with that, he may also give you some kind of cream to apply on that specific boil. Suppose you say, I don't want to do take the internal medicine, but just apply cream, then what will happen to this boil? It will go from wherever you have applied the cream and will come in another place where you have not yet applied the cream. So, spiritual sadhana is exactly like that. We apply ourselves to certain problems, but that always has to be on the base of our sadhana, which means our morning study, our karma, our bhakti, the whole lot, as far as we can do it. And then we deal with certain specific problems. Now, these specific problems may require professional guidance, or they may be something that you like. For instance, suppose a person is always creating a mess with their finances. People who always feel I never have enough money, then you may need the help of a professional. Or if you have, let us say, relationship issues which you don't know how to deal with, then you may need the help of a professional. So your first step is to find out, is this something I can deal with myself, or do I need some kind of expert help from a professional? Suppose my house is always a mess, then maybe I should have somebody help me run housekeeping, or I don't know, whatever the problem is. You have given two problems. I assume they are examples because you use the word like. So one is, you said, oversensitivity to issues or circumstances. Now, we don't know what kind of oversensitivity you're talking about. The first question you have to ask yourself, is it something that the individual can handle themselves, or is it going to require some help from an external source? If it's help from an external source, find the relevant authority and then go and ask that question. If you feel you can handle it on your own, then go ahead and handle it. Strong dislike towards certain people is your second example. That, I suppose, is only sadhana. What else can you do about it? If you don't like somebody, you don't like anybody. But if you're encouraging strong dislike, then don't at least encourage it. But only growth as a human being will stop us from disliking people. So how to remove knots? Step number 1, do your sadhana. Step number 2, if those knots are remaining even while doing sadhana, then you start attending to them individually. When you start attending to them individually, your first question is it something I can handle or something I cannot handle? If it's something I cannot handle, go to the relevant authority to do it. If it's something you can handle, then go ahead and handle it. So, not very complicated, right? And I'm not going deep diving into your particular ones because they're just examples. Very many of us are very resistant to taking advice. So resistant to taking advice that we'd rather die than take somebody's advice. We are incapable of going to somebody and saying, I don't know, please help. We say things like, what will they tell us? I already know what to do. I can't do it. No, you don't. It's not that you're not doing something you know. It is that you don't know, therefore you're messing up what you're doing. Impossible to break through that thing. So please learn to say, I don't know, help me. Please learn to say that. Otherwise, we can go on forever just staying with our problems. Are you okay, Ashia? So basically, either you work it out with knowledge, with whatever knowledge you have, or take help. But either way, it will have to be on the basis of constant individual growth. Okay?
Yes, Janki ji, thank you.
Anukaran. Anukaran. Anukaran, are you here? Can you switch on your video if you're here? Knowledge and information level can become toxic if not turned into wisdom. Anukaran.
I'm Anuja.
Anuja, you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Anukaran.
Yeah. Knowledge and information level can become toxic if not turned into wisdom. Yes, it can. What I didn't get. What's the question? That's a statement.
Yeah, but then how do I? Okay, you have to convert it into wisdom. What do you mean by that it becomes toxic?
It will be more an interruption in your life rather than something that's soothing out your life. In other words, like like the same example which Ashia just gave us. Some people, we all have problems in our personality. None of us are perfect. But minimum thing we have to know is this a problem I can handle myself or is it a problem I can't handle myself? But most people will never come to this thing that I don't know how to handle it. They'll say, I know, but I can't do. They don't get the basic concept. If you're not being able to do, that means you don't know. They say, no, I know what I have to do. You don't tell me. No, that's why you go to an expert because the expert will tell you to do something which you can do. How can you stop at a problem? I know what to do. I can't do it. Therefore, my problem will continue forever. That's a very ignorant way of looking at it, isn't it? It's like, I don't need to see a doctor. I know I've got a stomach ache. I know what to do, but I can't do it. Well, if you knew what to do, you would be doing it. So, so, so it becomes toxic because then you can't do it yourself. And the first inclination is to then advise everybody else to do whatever it is that you cannot do. And that's why you create further problems. For instance, you can't get up in the morning, so you advise everybody to get up in the morning. Things like that. So we just create more and more problems. And sometimes with knowledge, we multiply our problems instead of dividing them out. So that's how it becomes toxic. In your own personality, it doesn't help you. You make matters worse outside. That's how it doesn't help because it's all undigested information, ununderstood information. So we're just as ignorant as we were earlier, except now we have the belief we know. That's toxic. Okay? I can't hear you, Anuja. You're muted.
The example you gave about morning study.
Anything. Like I'm very interested in money, I'll tell you shouldn't want money. Anything.
I understand that I have to do it, and I don't know how to do it.
Anuja, can you write it in the
You
chat?
have to
Just can't hear what you're saying. Just write it down, I'll come back to you.
Right.
Jyoti,
Okay.
you said that heaven, hell, and Brahma's heaven are all states of mind, not physical locations. Do we experience Brahma's heaven also while in human body? Jyoti, you will have to experience it in your mind. Where your mind is, could be anywhere. Your mind could be within this body. Your mind could be in some other body, in some other creature's body, or you could be in the state of death. The state of death is when your mind is not manifesting a body. But in any case, whichever condition it is only a mental state. That is why you'll see in sleep. Sleep is like death, where the mind is sort of not manifesting through the body. So people will dream, and they will dream at night that Vishnu came to my dreams, or Christ came in my dream, or something like that. They'll dream. So who comes in your dream? If you're a Christian, Christ will come. If you are a Vaishnav, then Vishnu will come. You don't see a Vaishnav dreaming of Christ or a Christian dreaming of Vishnu. How come the right God always comes in your dream? Okay, so it's because these are all mental states. So whatever is your thoughts, you experience those thoughts basically. Okay.
Thank you.
Hari Om Janki ji, can I ask one last question, or should we move ahead with class?
Go ahead, Ganesh.
Yes, ma'am. So I was thinking about this for some time. Unselfish action, we say that provides us with complete happiness. Is my assumption right?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Can anyone correct Ganesh's statement?
Selfless action.
Selfless action creates happiness.
Very good. Excellent. Selfless action gives complete happiness. Unselfish is to the extent you're unselfish, to that extent you'll be happy.
Ma'am, Brahmalok falls under which action if we are in Brahmalok?
Desire-ridden action.
Desire-ridden. So that would be selfless.
No, Ganesh, you're getting all of it mixed up. Start again. You have got the capacity to function from your mind or from your intellect. When you function from your mind, but for good things, you reach some kind of heaven. And if you do bad things, you reach some kind of hell. Okay, this is all mind-driven. To be selfless means to be single-pointed attention. Intellect is functioning on self-realization or a self-realized person. There are only two options for selfless.
Okay.
Remember definitions, everybody, because once the definitions go, then the comprehension cannot work. In the example, Anuja, in the example of morning study, I know it needs to be done, but I can't do it. That is toxic. Yes, because it will always be like a guilt on your head. So don't say I can't do morning study. You can say I can't get up at 4 o'clock, which is fine. You can't get up at 5 o'clock, okay, fine. Can't get up at 6 o'clock. Arey Baba, sometime you must be getting up, no? Even if you're getting up at 11 o'clock in the morning, even then, for having got up, can't you spend the next 20 minutes studying? Or 15 minutes or 10 minutes? Start. Don't say can't do it. Whatever time you wake up in the morning, just spend the first 10-15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, kuch to hota hoga. Whatever you can do, do. Okay? So as you start doing it, the intellect will grow. And instead of getting up at 11 o'clock, you'll start getting up at quarter to 11. And then you'll get up at 10:30. Then it'll go to maybe 10 o'clock. And that's how you grow. But if you keep saying, I know I have to study, but I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. Then that becomes like guilt-ridden. You're not moving forward. You just feel very sorry about yourself. You're always castigizing yourself and saying, I'm so horrible. What is the point of all this stuff? Oh, I'm so useless. How many years I heard this, but I can't do it. अरे but चलो यार जो कर सकते हो उतना तो करो. Okay, so
Even during the
can't hear you,
otherwise,
Anuja. Can't hear you. Write it down, whatever you want to say. How does selfless action give complete happiness? Yes, it's not complete in the sense of enlightenment. Enlightenment alone gives complete happiness, but selfless action is the closest you can get to it before realization. Okay, so we were studying about mind-driven action versus intellect-driven action. Mind-driven action gives you, forces you. Will study off the day help? What is off the day? Study every day, that will help. Study any time you want, but study please. Doesn't matter. Study in the middle of the night if you want, but study. That is your first step. Then you worry about what time afterwards.
okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we were studying about mind-driven action versus intellect-driven action. Mind-driven action can be for good, like doing good for others, or for bad. That means it's all selfish and self-centered. When you try to do something good for somebody, you feel nice too. The other person is benefited and you feel nice. When you start doing your sadhana, unfortunately, the only good people can do sadhana. If we have arrived at the Gita class, we should be able to pat ourselves on the back and say, well, I am a good person. Because otherwise I wouldn't even conceive this. Only the goodness in me will enable me to conceive spirituality. Otherwise it can't be done. As you will see. You have seen that, right? In your whole life, some people just can't conceive it. So it doesn't mean if you're good, you will conceive spirituality. The converse is not true. But only the goodness in us will enable us to conceive spirituality. And when we start the path, and we start doing, and our goodness gets better, and then we want to function on that goodness, the mind starts enjoying the good things that you are doing in your spiritual path. And because of that enjoyment, it takes you on the path of enjoyment, diverting us from the spiritual path itself. It diverts us. We don't seem to get that. That's why many people, they start the spiritual pursuit but end up doing social work. Because spiritual pursuit always involves effort. But effort is not always pleasurable. I mean, like at every stage of the journey, all you do is find out what is wrong with you. Now, who wants to know that? Sometimes, people are really suffering, and it's very bad to do it, so just resist it. But sometimes you can see, just adjust this thing. Everything about you is good. Adjust this one thing, and your whole life will be so beautiful. And I sort of stick my head out and try to tell the person. Tell the person means not my family and friends, because they are never going to listen. Students who claim to be completely devoted to me, I stick my head out and I try to tell them something. I won't take it. Won't take it. Very rarely, of course, because it's none of my business. But it just seems such a, like, can't you see this? It's so obvious. But no, don't want to know. And the people are doing what they have to be doing. They're doing maybe their studies, they're doing maybe karma yoga, maybe they're doing their bhakti yoga, but are not willing to listen to what is wrong with them and what is that one thing that needs adjustment. It's not even like wrong, you're so wrong and you're so wicked and you're so negative. It's not just a simple thing that requires adjustment. One do it. Because it's too frightening to us somehow that something about us could be wrong, because that word is like frightening to us. Our whole ego, our whole personality, our whole, like, I don't know what, our whole survival starts dependent on being dependent on not being told that something needs adjustment. So much easier, no? To throw yourself into work than to actually attend to whatever is going wrong. Even wrong is a strong word. We don't like to use the word wrong because then, oh my God, all the heavens fall on our head if we say somebody is wrong. So we get involved in the good actions, in the karma, in the bhakti, in the jnana, because we don't want to do the tough part. And then since we are involved in doing all these good things, we just start feeling better and better and better. It feels so good. And then you say also, oh, having come to the spiritual path, I feel so good. But if we correct ourselves and we continue to do sadhana, okay, somehow we manage to correct ourselves and continue to do sadhana, then we will reach what is known as Brahma's heaven. That means you feel so good and you will have to stay there, Shashwati Samaha, eternal years, for a long, long time. And when that gets over, we then move to the next stage, which is moksha. So why don't we know this right now? Why do we want to take a trip? It's like almost like I want to go to America, but I just decide to take a trip to Kashmir and then go to America. Oh, why? What are you doing in Kashmir? No, I just thought I'll take a trip. And then just people will argue, but Kashmir is so nice, no? What's your answer to that? Why shouldn't I take a trip to Kashmir? It was so beautiful over there. Why shouldn't I take that trip?
Because America is better as a final destination.
Yes, because why will you delay it? When you're getting, in this case, may or may not be, so please don't start arguing that. But yeah, if I'm going to the best place, why am I taking a diversion to a less good place? Why am I wasting time? A true sadhak doesn't want to waste time. They understand what enlightenment is and make a headway straight for that. Go straight there. Don't have to go all over the world first. Okay, so this is what he has taught us so far. I hope this is clear. Now, if this is clear, we'll go on to the next verse, verse 27. Naiti sruti partha janan yogi muhyati kakshana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna naiti sruti partha janan yogi muhyati kakshana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna na ete shruti partha janan. Ete shruti, these paths, partha janan, or partha, knowing these, yogi muhyati kakshana. No yogi is muhyati, is not deluded. Isn't it? If you understand clearly that you cannot afford to function on your mind, because that only gives you some kind of temporary pleasure and temporary agitation. You only understand that, like he told us in verse 26. These are all temporary states. What do you want them for? Remember what we studied in chapter, what did we do? Chapter 18 we're studying in on Friday, right? So he said, dukhantam nigacchati. There is a great deal of difference between obtaining joy, sukha prapti, and dukhantam nigacchati. Dukhantam means dukkha antam. Come to the end of sorrow. That means you don't ever leave that happy state. Why do we want to return to sorrow? It doesn't make sense, does it? If you stop and think about it a bit, why would you do anything which will return you to sorrow? What is the kind of happiness we should have? We should have the kind of happiness that we are happy all the time. Not because something is happening, not because of anything. I'm just happy, just comfortable, I'm just satisfied. Isn't that what I want? Why would I do anything that brings me to sorrow? So that's what he's saying over here. You have to, same concept. Dukkha antam nigacchati. Reach the point of end of sorrow. Don't reach the point of, oh, I'm so happy and be thrilled with it. Some people say, oh, ye bhajan sunke mera to ji whatever. I'm so delighted with it. Okay, then what happens after your bhajan ends? Reach dukkhantam, end of sorrow. Don't reach all these, oh, I felt so nice. Oh, this is so good. Oh, the class was so good. Oh, the bhajan was so good. No, jumping up and down. Or what are you, a popcorn on a tawa? You have to go, tup, tup, tup. What is human beings? It's stable. Their happiness is stable. So now if you understood these two parts, you will know how to have a stable happiness. That's what he's saying. Naite sruti janan partha yogi muhyati kakshana. Oh Partha, no yogi will be muhyati, no yogi will be deluded if he has understood these two parts. Which are the two parts? Following the moon or following the sun. Following the mind or following the intellect. Tasmat. Now he is concluding after his explanation. Tasmat. Tasmat means therefore. Therefore, sarveshu kaleshu. Sarvakal, in all times. Yogi yukto bhavarjana. Be a yoga yuktaha. What is a yoga yuktaha? A yoga yuktaha is one who is yukta. Yukta means joined to yoga. What is yoga? It is attempt to reunite with your own self. So, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukta bhavarjana. Become a yoga yukta. Means at any time in life, be attached, be stuck, be, I don't know what word to use, yukta, joined in the process, to the process. Be joined to that process of what? Of enlightenment. And as you know, if enlightenment is too tough, you can have any higher ideal of your choice, but at any time, be stuck to that higher, to the process of reaching the higher ideal. Be on the path. Don't go off the path. Does that mean you should not enjoy anything? Of course not. Why would you not enjoy things? Please enjoy things. Does that mean you should not do all these things which give pleasure, such as karma or bhakti or jnana? Of course not. You have to do them, because if you don't do them, you're off the path. So I hope it's clear. If you have followed the line of thought, it will be clear. If you pick up this word suddenly, then it creates confusion. So is it clear? He said there are two paths, the sun and the moon. What is the moon? The moon is mind-driven activity. What is the sun? Intellect-driven activity. There are two paths you have. If you understand them carefully, you will reach dukkhantam. Meaning what? The yogi is not deluded again. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, at all times. Yoga yukto bhavarjuna. Clear, right? I mean, you must have heard this phrase, yoga yukto bhavarjuna. Oh, become a yoga yukta, O Arjuna. You must have heard it. It's a very famous phrase. It's often quoted when people talk about the Bhagavad Gita. So you must have heard it. So what does it mean? It just means using your intellect to reach a higher ideal. Simple. Nothing very complicated, right? Okay, and let's do verse 28. Vedeshu yagneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param stanamupaiti chadhyam vedeshu yagneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param stanamupaiti chadhyam. This is important for us to understand. The Bhagavad Gita is sometimes criticized for saying things against the Vedas. This kind of criticism is done by people who have not bothered to study the whole thing. Otherwise, how on earth can you criticize it like that? He's always talking about, so have I heard from the great masters. The great masters for Gita is whom? Only the Vedas, only the Upanishads, right? But this is what he's saying. Read this now. Vedeshu, in the Vedas. Yagneshu, in Yagna. Tapasya, in tapas. Daneshu, in dan. Yat punya phalam pradishtam. Whatever punya phal, whatever good results of all this is assigned to all these things. Atyeti tat, rising above that. Idam viditva, having understood all this. Yogi param sthanam upaiti. The yogi goes to the param sthan. Because you have been following the line of thought, because you're understanding what he's saying, you can easily understand what this verse says, right? He's saying rise above the Vedas, above yajna, above tapas, above dan. Rise above the punya phalam that you will get from these things. And do what? Understand this process. And then yogi param sthanam upaiti. The yogi gets the param sthanam. Did you understand it? Can anyone tell me what this verse means? Because you followed the flow of thought, you should immediately understand what he's just saying. What is he saying?
Move from unselfish to selfless action.
You're right, but say it in context.
Path of the moon to path of the sun.
Okay, but that doesn't tell us why. Why is he telling us to rise above Veda, Yajna, Tapas, and Dan?
Because you will be in Kashmir, you have to go to America. Find happiness.
Okay, but why is what is it about the Veda or Yajna, or Tapas, or Dan that sends you to Kashmir?
Because even that is finite.
So
Mind driven.
Sorry?
Mind driven.
When you get involved in them. Because if you think that he's against Veda, Yajna, Tapas, and Dan, then what is the process of spiritual growth? Remember, throughout, this is the process he's given.
जानकी जी, how you said कि एक भजन सुनते हैं तो फिर बहुत अच्छा लगता है, बस इसमें ही आनंद आया. That's not it. To stay eternally, bliss is the real Brahmalok, way to Brahmalok.
We don't want Brahmalok, Priyanka. What do we want?
beyond Brahmalok? I forgot the word.
Kaivalya Mukti.
Enlightenment.
Yes, enlightenment. Sorry. Yes.
Brahmalok is just a diversion on our path. We don't want all these diversions.
अभी उसी रास्ते में.
So what he's basically saying is Vedeshu, Yagneshu, Tapassu and Daneshu. In Veda, Yagna, Tapas and Dan, don't get involved for heaven's sake. These are your tools to reach Brahman. These are your tools to reach enlightenment. If you fall in love with the tool itself, how will you use it for your growth? You will be sitting there and doing puja of the tool, which is what has happened, right, in our country. More people worship the Gita than open the book and read it. If you ask anybody in this country, do you think the Gita is a great book? They'll say, yes, it is. You ask them, do you think it's worthy of worship? Yes, it is. Do you think you should open it and read it? Abhi time nahi hai, baad mein dekhte hain. Okay. So, this kind of nonsense is what goes on. Not in our country alone, everywhere. You ask in the Western countries, do you think Bible is a great book? Yes. Do you think it should be worshipped? Yes. Will you open it and read it? Yes, I will. One day I will. It's on my bucket. It's in my bucket list. Pagal hai kya? Bible is your bucket list. Then what is your priority? To get a job, to make money? My dear, those should be your bucket list. Bible is the main thing. Quran is the main thing. Gita is the main thing. Dhammapada is the main thing. Everything else is the bucket list. Jab time milega, karenge. It's almost like the finance guys, they tell us, people who are very bad at finances, what do? They spend, and whatever is left, they save. People who are good at finances do what?
First save, then spend.
First they save, then they spend. This is common sense, right? But it's not common sense to people who just don't know how to handle finances. First to save, you decide every month I want to save 10%, 20%, 25%, 60%, 70%, whatever it is you think is the right amount for you given your circumstances. If you are living at home, you're single, you have no expenses whatsoever, then about 70% you better save now. But if you're in the middle of life, you got children going to school or college, whatever, your savings will come down. So, depending on your stage in life, make up your mind how much you need to save, or based on your stage, based on your goal, based on all these things, you decide how much you're doing and do it. Then whatever is left, you can spend. Similarly, based on your stage, your goal, your everything, decide how much time you're going to spend with understanding life. How much time, according to you, you need to do every day? How much time to develop the intellect? How much time do you think you need to go? Do that. And then you will always pay for everything else. That is your first obligation. Everything else is the bucket list. This is not a bucket list. Ek din ka aayega karenge. Now you'll say, why are you telling us? We are coming to class anyway, so we are prioritizing it. Vidya, you're muting and unmuting yourself constantly. I don't know why you're doing that, because there's a lot of noise coming. You say, why are you telling us? We are coming to class. That means we are prioritizing it. If you are prioritizing it, my friend, it's not about coming to class or not coming to class. It's what are you doing on a daily basis to build your own. You may come to class for the rest of your life and stay exactly where you are. That is what he's warning us against. He's warning us against that. For many people, class is very nice. एक घंटा कैसे बीता? Yesterday also I had a lecture somewhere. एक घंटा कैसे बीता पता ही नहीं चला. I hear that all the time. Can I turn around to somebody and say, I mean, I don't want to be rude. It's very sweet of them to say kind words about the lecture, but how does it even help them? So if I am prioritizing it, what am I doing on a daily basis to develop my own intellect? So when he says it is not in the Vedas, you have to go beyond the Vedas, he doesn't mean any disrespect to the Vedas. Of course not. How could we? He doesn't mean any disrespect to the yajna, to the tapas, or to the dan. So what are these things? These are nothing but our three yogas. That's all it is. He's not meaning it's knowledge, action, and service. And of course, dan. Our dan is pathetic. In this country, we have this strange notion that giving food, annadan, is the highest dan. Annadan is the highest dan. It's the one where the person will be satisfied for 2 hours. What happens after those 2 hours? Have you ever thought of that? But when you help spread the words of the scriptures, the Gita, then you help somebody for their life, whole life, not one thing. And one of the most bugging things I'll tell you, just as gossip, really bugging, we applied for ATG. You know, ATG means a tax exemption, and they denied it. They rejected that application because we were not doing charitable work. And why are we not doing charitable work? Because we teach the Gita. What is charitable in that? I am so mad at this that this is a fight I think we should take up. Crazy stuff, right? If this is not charity, what in the world is charity? People who want to support this will not be given the exemption. But people who want to support giving food will be given the exemption. Should we go and take this thing up? Crazy stuff. So warped are our values in this world is not funny. So I'm thinking I should take this fight up. What do you think? Take this fight up or let it go?
No, please take it.
We should take it.
Yeah. Okay, all those who say please take it up are going to join me in this fight. This isn't a soul fight.
Sure.
So yeah, we should. Like, what kind of nonsense is this? Yes, we will fight this. Yeah, we'll all fight it together. What nonsense. We'll go right up to Modi if it's required. And build a temple and get tax exemption. But if you study Gita, no. See stuff. This is the verse we have to send to these people. Vedeshu, Yagneshu, Tapassu, Janeshu. That punya phalam pradishtam, whatever punya phalam is going to come out of that, whatever good is going to come above that, rise above that and reach the ultimate goal of life.
Janki, in sunlit path, when we do the Surya Namaskars, there is a shlok called Om Hiranya Garbhai Nama. My light is enough. I am enough for myself. Gita, it just teaches us that we are so enough for ourselves. And this is such a beautiful way to live our life without anything. We are so complete within ourselves. And if this education is given to our kids from the very beginning, I think there'll be a drastic change in the civilization in the coming years.
Of course, that was what India was, but we have to work for it. This is an unknown cause that nobody wants to work for. Even if 10 of us get together and say, okay, we are doing it, and we'll do it. Whoever joins us, that's it. But if we have to help all of humanity, this is the way. There is no other way. Knowledge of life is the only way forward. We study the 3 R's, but what about the 4th R? What about the R that talks about right living? We know our arithmetic, our writing, our reading. Everybody has to know that. But that's not education. Education means the fourth R, which is right living. So who's going to explain all this to these people? And yet we will take up this task of trying to explain it to them. But coming back to what we're discussing here, it doesn't mean that you don't use the path, the karma yoga, the bhakti yoga, the jnana yoga, the path of service and charity. It doesn't mean you don't use it. It means don't get involved in it. Stay focused on the goal. If we take up this fight, for humanity, that everybody, every human should know this, this art of living life. Every human, and then every other human is benefited. Even if 1/4 of humans learn this, all humans will be benefited, and all other creatures as well. We take up this fight. But why do we take up this fight? Because it is our karma yoga. And why are we doing karma yoga? To reach the self. That we should not forget. Because we cannot prescribe something to somebody when we don't do it ourselves. So we'll take up karma yoga. We'll take up the fight. No problem. But never forgetting that that's where we are headed. We have to reach that. So that's what he's saying. If you do that, the yogi rises above all of them, means that you use them as your methodology of reaching the self. And having known this means having known these paths, having understood the dangers on your path. At the moment, we are all talking about the dangers which are preventing us from doing the yogas. But we are going to come to a stage where we will face the dangers of doing the yogas. So he's already warned us about that. Keep it well in mind. That's what he's saying. Such a person reaches that supreme primeval abode. It goes to that param sthanam, adhyam, that adhyam param sthanam. So let us, now that we have finished this chapter, let us quickly revise what we have studied so that we have a good sense of what this chapter is all about. The first part of this chapter told us that there were two aspects of life. There was Brahman and there is word. You remember that, right? He asked him all the questions, Kim Adhyatmam, Kim Karma, all the questions he had asked. So he told fabulous statement in this chapter. What was it? What was the definition of God that he gave us? Hey, come on. You have to be quick. In 10 minutes, we have to complete the summary. So you have to very quickly tell me what is the
Spirit plus
definition
matter
of
is
God.
equal to God.
Sorry?
Spirit plus matter is equal to God.
What are you saying, Ganesh? If you were in front of me, you would have been beaten now.
Sorry.
Spirit and matter is equal to God. What is spirit?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so what was the definition of God? Akshara Brahma Paramam. What is God? He is the Aksharam. Brahman is the Aksharam Paramam. He is the supreme, number one, and he is the imperishable, number two. If you hold on to that definition of God, you will never get confused about this idea. And then what are we? What are you and I? What is Aditi? What is Aditi? Give me the formula for Aditi.
Matter and spirit individual.
Yes, matter plus spirit is equal to the individual. If you understand that, you will understand the next few verses. And every human being has the capacity to either focus on the matter element or on the spirit element. If you focus on the matter element, you become material. Means you become a physical being, an emotional being, or an intellectual being. But when you focus on the spirit element, then you become a spiritual being. So how do you focus on the spiritual being is what the next topic was about. He gave us all that, na? Kavim Puranam Manushastitaram. Okay, he's the omniscient, he's the ancient. He gave us all the indicative definitions, different ways by which we may be able to think of the Lord. And then what did he tell us? Based on what you think is where you will reach. Which is actually concluded with the same idea, really. If you keep thinking of the path, then you're stuck on the path. If you think of the goal, you reach the goal. So whatever you think of, that is what you will reach. So then he told us about meditation, which is the single pointed attention on the Lord. Then he explained to us. Okay, so far so good. What is the Lord? Is the supreme, the permanent. What are we? We are a combination of Brahman plus the body, mind, intellect. And we have this capacity to choose to focus on either. He taught us how to focus on Brahman. And what is this Brahman? That was our third topic. It is beyond the manifest and the unmanifest. Remember the manifest and the unmanifest? That what is the manifest? You and I are the manifest. Our waking and dream states are the manifest. Sleep is the unmanifest. And this cycle goes on. Just as the cycle of sleep, where everything is dark, everything is unmanifest. And then it manifests in dream and waking. Just as this happens to us, the same thing happens to all of Srishti. Okay? And then you go through the 4 yugas. And then pralaya takes place. And when pralaya takes place, it's all the unmanifest. Whole thing closes down again. Then what happens? Then the whole thing starts again. Just as we do. At night, it's pralaya. For us, it's pralaya. Everything is closed. Everything is shut. Next morning, it starts all over again, exactly where you left it last night. Even if you left a piece of cake in your fridge last night, in the morning, you get the same piece of cake. Starts all over again. The whole thing will start. And the same thing happens between lives. The same thing happens at the cosmic. Imagine one day this whole cosmos, whole Brahmand will crumble on itself. It will come down to nothing, to almost nothing. And then there's a big bang. And the whole thing will start expanding again. Again, daylight has started. And he calls it the day of Brahma when this happens. So this will go on. But beyond this manifest and unmanifest, there lies yet another unmanifest. That is the Brahman that he was talking about. That parastasmat bhavonya avyakto vyakta sanatana eternal unmanifest, which is the state of Brahman. And if you use your courses properly, you will reach that. If you use the 3 yogas properly, you will reach that. But if you get involved in the 3 yogas, if you get involved in the path, if you just enjoy doing social work, if you just enjoy studying, you love studying, you love doing social work, or you love bhakti, love bhajans, you love dressing up the Lord, or you love even being with good people, whatever it is you love, then you will just feel very nice, but you stay where you are. Meaning you just go and come, you won't reach the dukhantam, you won't reach end of sorrow. But if we do our sadhana, that means focus on the goal and use these as tools to get there. We cannot reach there without this. We cannot reach Brahman without Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. And we also cannot reach with it. Cannot get involved in it. It's like you cannot reach Lonavala without using the highway. Whatever expressway. You can't reach Lonavala without using the expressway. Let's assume. Okay, you can't reach it without expressway. But if you go to the expressway and you don't drive, you just stand over there, also you will not reach Lonavala. So please keep on the path, keep moving, moving, moving. Push the envelope slightly more, slightly more. Whatever you can do that and a little bit more. Just a little bit more. And amazing, you will see some more after some time and be able to do a little bit more. So if we follow the right way, then we will come to our final destination, which is what he said today. That if you understand these paths, then you will reach the final destination. So I hope chapter 8 is clear. Let us read the last mantra. Tatsadat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Akshara Brahma Yogo Nama Ashtamo Dhyayaha. It is the tradition of the scriptures that when we finish a text, we don't believe we have finished it, but that we're only now attempting to learn it. We will read again the first verse. Arjuna Uvacha Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam adhidaivam kimochyate. And that ends begins our study of the 8th chapter. Bharat has an announcement for us. One of the ideas, one second, Bharat, let me just tell them, everybody, Deepak's idea. One of the ideas that came to us was that immediately after the chapter is over, we should spend one class in case anybody has any questions on that chapter. So if you all would like one class of only questions pertaining to that chapter, then please inform Bharat. And if we have the questions, it's not you tell us the questions, then you send us the questions earlier. And if you inform Bharat that you have a question or that you would like this kind of a session, then if enough people want to do it that way, we'll do it. Okay, so please get in touch with Bharat and let him know. Okay, Bharat, please make your announcement.
Thank you, Janki ji.
Hari Om, everyone. So if you're not having this Q&A next Sunday, we'll be starting the new chapter, chapter 9, Yoga of Royal Knowledge and Royal Secret. Please share the flyers that we'll be making and sharing on the group. It's a lot easier if people join in the beginning of the chapter. Thank you.
Okay.
Hari Om ji.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Janki ji. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Janki
you.
ji.
Janki ji, thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Janki ji. Thank you.
Thank you, Janki ji. Hari Om.
Thank you, Janki.